What's cracking, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. New video. Decided to do a second video on this channel today. I know it's late, so this might not get a lot of views. It is what it is. I haven't done a YA story in a while. Excuse me. And it was actually pointed out to me, hey, you haven't done a YA video in a while. And so I said, you know what, let me do one today. It's Monday. I was surprised during the live the other day where people were telling me that juvenile halls are being shut down. I guess they said LP in LA County is just shut down, and I don't get it. They just shut down all the youth authorities and said that kids were going to be housed in the juvenile halls. So how are they closing down juvenile halls? Is the crime down that much? I hope that's what it means. But I'm going to tell a story about the California Youth Authority. And I'm gonna remind you guys, if you haven't seen my California Youth Authority videos, go to my big channel, DubsV, DUBSV, and check a few of them out. One thing I always talk about is I believe that was one of the worst experiments that was ever done on kids in California. I know other states have their version of the California Youth Authority. So let me break it down to you for those of you that don't know, those that are out of state. The California Youth Authority was prison for kids. It was under the umbrella of the California Department of Corrections. It had its own director that was under the director of the Department of Corrections. You could get a life sentence for murder, and that's where you would go. And you were housed there. If you had enough time, you could be housed there until your 25th birthday. So you would be 24 years old. When you're getting close to 25, they would transfer you out, send you back to your county jail. You would have to have a hearing with the judge, whether or not that judge is gonna bound you over basically to the CDC and continue that life sentence or let you go. But that's only for the guys that still had confinement time when they reached that age. But, you know, there were kids that were 9 years old in YA, 10 years old. They would go to OH closed. That was the facility for the youngest kids. But you could be, I mean, the ages range from 9 to 24. Imagine being 15, 16 years old and you land on a dorm and your enemy's there and he's 23, 24 years old. He's been there. He's been working out. He's been fighting his ass off because that's what you do in YA. And here you come 15, 16 years old and it's mandatory. If you're a raza from Southern California, it was mandatory. You had to get down with all your enemies. So, also, before I get into it, there were the most dangerous ones, I think, were the dorms, Paso, and Nellis, Preston. Chad obviously became very dangerous. That was cell living, but YTS, I mean, that place, everybody knows about that place. That place was something else. It was ran more like prison because there were a lot of guys that were, you know, 18 years old and they'd stab somebody and they'd send them to prison and they'd do like 3 years in prison, 4 years in prison, then get sent back to YA and they'd be housed in YTS. And they brought with them the schooling they got in the joint. It was a trip, man. YTS was a different thing. I paroled from YTS in January of 1992. California Youth Authority, I'm going to refer to it probably more as YA. You know, CYA is what it really is, California Youth Authority, but I refer to it always as YA. I can say that it was the most racist place I ever did time. It was, I don't know if I can say the most violent, but I saw things there happen that you would never see in the Department of Corrections. And that's what we're going to talk about today. I was having a conversation with somebody the other day, And we were talking about the youth authority, the shit that went on in there, right? I'm going to talk about 2 incidents that happened in Paso. And these were vatos from down south, Raza. In one instance, it was 2 guys from Oxnard, California. And the other one, it was 2 from the San Gabriel Valley. And in each case, I don't want to say what barrios these people were from, because I don't want to have anybody thinking it's a reflection on those barrios. So I'm just going to say, in one case, it was 2 dudes from the SGV that were enemies. And the other one, it was Oxnard, 2 dudes that were enemies. So in both of these cases, like I said, when you got to Paso, it was mandatory that you got down with your enemies. Whenever you were in the school area, if you were in the school area and you were in they had these classrooms. There were some that there was a hallway that was in between 2 classrooms. It was 12 classrooms right there. And you would have to, send a kite or send verbals. Hey, tell this vato at 10:30, cuss out his teacher, whatever he's got to do. And they'll put you in the hallway, and there's a little box you would stand in. Right? I'm going to do the same thing, or that guy's rival is going to do the same thing around the same time. They're going to get in that hallway. The cops know what time it is. They're going to lock that hallway, and they're going to take off. You got to get down. Like, it was mandatory. You had to get down with your enemies, right? So in these 2 scenarios, I'm going to tell them one story, and it applies to both, okay? So you had where a guy came to the unit, and the guy that was the rival that was already there was like, hey, tomorrow morning, go to cell 12. We got to get down, right? There's 12 in Paso. There's 12 cells. Those are called honor rooms, right? They're rooms, 12 of them. Those are the guys that are programming. You almost never saw raza in there, at least in Paso. You almost never saw Mexicans in those. But so the dude's like, hey, in the morning, go to cell 12, hey, we're getting down. The new vato's like, all right. They went in the cell. Brrr. The new guy got his ass whooped. And the guy that won is like, we're doing this every day. Tomorrow, when you wake up, get in this fucking cell. We're doing this again. All right. Next day, they get down again. Same guy loses. They're both told again, tomorrow, get your fucking ass back in here. And so this went down every day. And I don't remember how long. They didn't both last the same amount of time, but this was the outcome. Went in the cell. The vato got his ass whooped again. The guy just, he's losing every day. He's lumped up every day. He can't fuck with this dude, right? And goes in the cell, gets beat down. And he says, the guy tells him, hey, tomorrow, you know what time it is. You'll be back in there to get another whooping. The next day, the dude went in there and he was like, I don't want to fight no more. I'm tired of getting my ass whooped, right? That's what he's saying. And in both occasions, the dude was like, well, you can do something else then. And both occasions, them 2 dudes dropped to their knees and became punks. And every day, that's what they did instead of fighting. Why it was the only place, in the joint, you see people, within the Southern Raza, there's a lot of cannibalism. But shit like that isn't tolerated. It isn't allowed. In the youth authority, people thought it was funny. It was very sadistic. It was very evil. Everybody was trying to outdo each other. You would righteously hear somebody like, hey, was that motherfucker's down as fuck? Who is? Who? Oh, so-and-so. That vato? And the guy will go and want to get down with him. He ain't shit. And you want to get down. That's how it was. You could be chilling with your own crew because over there they have ramflas, little cars, right? Those are the guys you hang out with. Those are the dudes you're going to back them no matter what, right? And within your own car, you could be kicking it, and you know you're somebody you're really tight with. He's starting to get down. Everybody fight. He's starting to get supposedly good with his hands, and people are like, "Hey, Holmes, that about this guy? He's got hands." You'll be like, hey, there was a term we use. What's up, homie? You want to check it out? When you told somebody you want to check it out, that means, hey, let's just go get down for the fun of it, eh? Let's see what them hands are really about. In Paso, in the day room, you had these bookshelves with not one fucking book on them. They were short, probably up to your waist, right? And there were always towels there. The reason why there was towels there is because when you're going to get down with somebody, you go in the bathroom and you wipe the floor down, make sure nobody's going to slip. Let's roll. You get them up. When you're done, hey, let's go eat a bowl. Bust a bowl. Eat a spread together. Shake hands. Clown each other. That fool, you ain't all that. Look at your face. Look at your eye, homie. But that's how YA was. It was an extremely brutal place. The mind games, they would try to break you mentally. If you fell for it, it was all bad. Paso wasn't as bad as Nellis when it came to the games. You know, Vatos would come from Nellis. They would get kicked out of Nellis and they would come to Paso, and we would tell them immediately, hey, Holmes, save that bullshit you guys do over there. Don't bring that over here. There was always a rivalry between the dudes in Paso and the dudes in Nellis. The dudes in Nellis thought the Vatos that were in Paso were soft, and vice versa. The dudes in Paso felt like those are little ass kids over there because they were younger than us most of the time, right? But getting back to that story, what a despicable act that those two dudes did, right? But at the same time, what a cowardly, womanly act for someone to say, I can't fight no more. So they would do that. Like everybody knew, like automatically they're dropped leva. Of course, no good, right? They're never going to have nothing in their locker. Their family send them money and they go to canteen, it's being took. Their family send them a package, it's being took. And I never understood that. Like with those two stories right there, those two vatos that allowed that to happen. I remember the dudes I kicked it with were like, why wouldn't he just fucking stab him? You know, we get razors. Why wouldn't he cut him with a razor? Why wouldn't he we used to be able to get, in Paso, we had silverware, plastic trays, but righteous silverware. It was always easy to bring a fork back. You break the tip off of the fork off, put a point on it, you got to pick. So it was like, why wouldn't they just do that? Like, how do they just and how does somebody, you know, like, how do you let your people send you money that hard, like they can't afford it? A lot of the raza back then, it was just, they didn't have it like that. And how do you let your people send you money and you let somebody else take it from you? But why it was brutal. There was no such thing as PC or anything like that in YA. You got smashed on. It was the obligation of the raza to let every compa know, hey, we just dropped so-and-so. So that way, if they saw him in the school area, they just beat him down. But the thing was, a leva could never start conversation or have conversation with what they call firme raza, the good dudes, right? They also could never fight head up. Firme raza were not allowed to lose to a leva. And there were dudes that got dropped leva that had hands. So you never could let them win. They would go from dorm to dorm. There was nowhere safe for them. Imagine them dudes doing 3, 4, 5, 7, 8 years. And they do the majority of that on that status. It's a terrible place, eh? So I just wanted to bring you another YA story. You asked for it. There's a glimpse into it. At the same time, before I go, I want to remind people, those of you that haven't seen the videos I've done on YA, the staff were in on all this shit too. They thought it was funny. I think the most sadistic staff I've ever been around was in the youth authority. A lot of them. I mean, there were some of them where it was clear that they were psychopaths. I told a story about one. It's on my big channel, and there was somebody actually in the comments that said his name. They knew exactly who I was talking about. Why it was a trip, man. But anyways, that's my video for today. Hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, hit the like, leave a comment. Let me know if you want more YA stories. YA was a different animal. I keep saying it, but it's just when I look back, I'm like, man, I don't know how them dudes would. Yeah, but you know, a lot of guys, to them, YA was fun, but to them levas, I'm sure for them it wasn't. How could it be? Especially ones that get turned out and accepted it. With that said, please be safe, be smart, and tell the ones you love that you love them. I'm out.